Welcome everyone to Network with Pride. My name is Jenna Campolita and I'm the External Relations Coordinator at Hofstra University. And I'm so thrilled to welcome you to our program. This is a special program that's sponsored by the Center for Career Design and Development, which is our new name. We went from the Career Center to the Center for Career Design and Development. So we're really excited about our new name. And we've partnered with the Graduate Business Career Relations. So this is a way that even though we are not on campus at the moment, but it's still a wonderful way for you to stay engaged and build connections. So each week we have a different professional from a different industry come and share information about their career path, job search advice, any other tips that young professionals really need to hear right now. So thank you for coming today. If you haven't already engaged with us via social media, there's tons of ways to stay connected, and there are a few links on here for you to see. And as I mentioned with the Network with Pride program, this is every week that we do on Wednesdays at 12:15, and here's a few upcoming events for you to see. We have L'Oreal attending on June 24th. We have Horizon Media, which will be really exciting because the person who handles diversity and inclusion at Horizon Media is going to share some wonderful information about how you can really do some research on figuring out the diversity and inclusion policies at companies when you do your job search. And then on July 8th, we have Chanel coming as well. This is the perfect time to prepare your materials for the job search, whether it's your resume, cover letter, interview skills, and we have career advisors available for appointments through Connect. And there are new jobs and internships being posted on Handshake every day. So you want to take some time to look at your Handshake profile, do a search, and see what's out there because companies are hiring. Today, I am so thrilled to have Sonia Banks from the Child Center of New York. And I think what I've been seeing often with students during this time and even before is how can I use my education and my skill set to find a career where I can make a difference, where I can help support communities and families. And the Child Center of New York is a perfect match for those of you that are looking for a way to do that. And Sonia is such a esteemed professional. She brings wonderful experience in human resource management and organizational development. And I was so excited to tell her about our new name change for career design. She's got a lot of wisdom to share on that. So Sonia, I'm gonna stop sharing right now so I can introduce everyone to you. And thank you so much for being here. I think a great way for us to kick off is to learn a little bit more about the Child Center of New York and what the organization does and how students can connect.
Excellent. Thank you so much. What a great opportunity. Excuse me, I have a tickle in my throat, so I may be reaching for a little bit of a beverage here. It's our pleasure to be here. The Child Center of New York has been in existence since 1953, and it basically has a very simple mission. It's to strengthen families and build communities. And so we support our communities by working in them and living in them. We hire from the community. So we started in Queens, and now we're in 5 locations. 65 locations in 5 boroughs, including out in Suffolk County and Roosevelt Island. And in our centers, we support the development of children through the after-school programs, through our daycare centers, through our community centers, through our beacon programs, whatever and wherever we are, we're providing a delivery of service that helps families and children stay supported and safe. So I want to take you through our website, and it would be really helpful as Jenna puts that up to give you a sense and a context for this organization. Now, just so you can understand the values of this organization, My mother worked here in the 70s, and I did not realize that until I got there because, like your area, we went through a name change as well. It used to be called the Queens Child Guidance Center. And so ever since I was a child, I was working in this particular area. So I had the privilege of volunteering and helping out as an 11-year-old with the camps that would be run. So as you look at our website, you see the areas where our programs are, and it looks like we are a child center, but we're more than that. We're a family center. So over in early childhood, you'll see there we're working with daycare centers. And in the daycare centers, we actually provide care from infancy to age 5 in communities that have various brown and black children and family needs. And we've been situated on the Upper West Side, actually on down and throughout various boroughs. In our behavioral health division, we have clinics in Flushing, in Elmhurst, COVID-19 Central, in Jamaica, Queens, that provide direct clinical service and care in the language of our community. And so we have all kinds of programs there, including a program for One Stop, a program with our other health home partners that allows us to get to the actual need of the family and provide the care in a culturally competent, aligned way and in a language that they prefer. And so now with what's happened in our new normal, we're providing a lot of those exact same services online remotely through telehealth and telemedicine. Our health homes and integrated care, that's the stopgap. We actually visit people that may be on the brink of becoming homeless or separated from their children or losing resources that allow them to feed their children because a family member may have lost a job. We go into the home and we work to assess and get them the resources they need. So it's very likely that someone could enter into the Child Center of New York, through health homes and integrated care, get referred for behavioral health clinic services and have their children at the daycare. So it's often that generations of families have been with us getting the care they need. Again, prevention and family support, that's the other part of our health homes. We believe that by going in and helping the parents have someone come alongside them as a parent advocate. No real experience needed. You've been a parent, you don't have to do anything but ride alongside this parent and help them as they have to integrate and understand what the society is asking them to do, and the organization provides them with that partner, if you will. And we have youth advocates that do the same. If you're in a prevention program, it might impede and or support you so that you don't have to go to another level of care, but you might need it for another family another family member. And then youth development, here again, I mentioned that early on. That's where we have services for young people that are trying to determine, what to do after school, and we provide all kinds of skills and training. So if you're looking for a job and you're trying to determine where can I go, you would start to look at your career design and consider what job can I get that if I get that experience now while I'm in school will enhance my application for a master's in social work, for pediatric nursing, for a teacher position. We have positions that have as few as 4 hours a week. That's all you have to put in. And what that does is give you the experience you need. Again, regardless of what you're doing, you could be applying to medical school, or like me, I have a clinical psychology PhD. Someone wants to know what experience you've had. You come on as an intern, you get that research experience with our social work team, and also you might be able to help support when you apply for your master's that you've actually had some encounters. So some of these positions are paid, and that's where we're trying to bring awareness that you are in a position where you can get paid to get experience. So as you look at these positions, The clinical intern, in that case, you have to have an MSW. But the youth advocate at our NYPD center, they have an amazing position. Imagine you're going to school. You need a part-time regular job. You're now looking at arranging seminars, looking at the client's home environments. You're producing the cultural shift for that family. That puts you in a position when you look at your trajectory for where you want to grow and develop. If you're mission-based in your internal desire for employment, this would be a position that lets you start to develop these skills you need to go from youth advocate to a director, et cetera, right? Assistant director. Most of our positions are positions that come with a succession plan. So if you start as a team coordinator, you'll probably be moving into a position, this is a full-time position, that eventually would extend to get you to be an assistant director or director. We have people that have been in these positions for 10, 15 years. We have some that start here, go back to school, and come back and decide they want to work in another part of the organization. Of course, we would give preference to people that know our culture and have worked successfully in our organization. Over here, an activity specialist, you've got skills. You come as an activity specialist. If you're a musician, you might lead a collaboration around music for children. Or if you're an art major, you'd be an activity specialist providing art classes or meditation or whatever your concentration is. Often our budget allows for what we've done in the past, but our director who have experience in sports, dance, step, anybody in sororities, fraternities, and you're doing step dancing, you can come and apply that. Chess, anything you know that's basic around technology, that wouldn't be basic for a student that doesn't have access. So you'd be surprised that you could be positioning yourself to work here 4 to 6 hours a week, and then as you graduate, move right into other places and positions in the company. That's one of the things I really like about the Child Center. Often when I go to the sites and I meet with the teams, I'm talking to a man who was a participant. So this guy was the child coming to the after-school program and has literally gone to high school, gone into college, and just grown up with us. Those are our favorites because they get the culture and they understand. So these are some of our positions that we have. Many of our positions right now we're going on a hiatus for the summer but we'll be right back up in the fall. But listen, that does not stop you from applying. Because if you apply, by the time you go through the process of the interview and we get you through background check, we can schedule you for September start or we can schedule you for later. We like to keep the pipeline of applying for these positions open all year long. So if you see something that looks like it's something you're interested in, apply. And then you can always contact me. So we have our live Facebook little venue on Fridays around 12 to 1. We're talking more about the jobs. I get the managers on to talk about their divisions. So you can actually hear from one of the vice presidents that's talking and running our areas and our developmental areas, even in our response to COVID-19. We're still giving out food at our locations and sites. We're still visiting our homes. We can't go in, but we can stand outside and literally look at our clients because we've got to make sure they're okay. And sometimes we're leaving food with them. So we've moved our services to accommodate the need, and that's what the Child Center of New York does. We meet the need where people are. So any questions or thoughts about what would a career look like if you start as a student and you say, you know, I could do an independent study with my sociology professor on cultural competency, on the new normal, on living and working in the same community, because that's going to become a really big thread. And how about I apply everything I learned there, look at those models while working in the actual site. That gives you an independent study credit. It lets you work for us, and it prepares you to potentially even write and document something that you could not only blog, but you could share with us and your future employer. So I need you to think outside of the box about how you look at designing your career. It matters that you're thinking about every single aspect of your career, all the gaps you need to fill, and that you're looking at doing them either through paid or volunteer opportunities. And when you graduate, starting with the Charleston of New York makes sense because we give you an opportunity to have your hands on a lot of the operational decisions that are being made for the programs that you'll be serving in. So that actually helps. Anything in the chat room? Looks like there's something here. Is this the chat? There is something. What's in there?
Yeah, that's me making sure.
That's Gina. I got.
Yeah, that they add their questions. Oh, we see one here. Do you provide mental health services for families, like marriage and family therapy?
Yeah, that's absolutely what I was saying. Can we go back to the site and click on behavioral health so they can see the clinics, Jenna? Yeah, that's what we do. We have 5 clinics. They are full mental health clinics with social workers, psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors. You call, you make an appointment. You have a telemedicine interview, a telemedicine counseling. You're the social worker, you're delivering the mental health service to the clients. Marriage counseling, individual counseling, group counseling, dealing with mental health stress related to work, working with your children. We're getting ready to open a perinatal clinic. So absolutely, we provide that. That's what I mean when I'm saying to you, if you're interested in a career in mental health, you want to start with us. Take a few hours a week, apply to be an activity specialist or a group leader. Get experience working with children that have a myriad of challenges. Not all of them are after school homework. Some of them are after school how to manage their temperament. And then as you apply to get to your career that you're interested in, perhaps it's being a social worker, you would have already worked with us. And so it looks like you've actually had experience with people that are dealing with the challenges of living and working in a very difficult and sometimes challenging world that doesn't give them access to everything. Does that help? What else do we have? So I have Ruth, Amanda, and Grace. Yes, we do. Marriage and family. Absolutely. You might want to just get your certificate in marriage and family therapy. We're open on the weekends. So we have clinicians that just work what we call per diem or part-time, and they come in and they see clients on Saturdays for a few hours and we pay them hourly. We have configurations that run the gamut because we're noticing that how we work has changed. You may not want to start off with an 80-hour or 45-hour work week, right? Because if you're career driven, you're probably going to work more than the numbers that are indicated in a standard work week because you're learning and developing and you're cultivating your talent. And that sometimes requires you to take extra projects on and work closely with your boss because you want to develop. That may not be the route for you. You may want to go straight to school and say, well, I just want to, get a career in public health, or I want to get a career around some other area. Getting this kind of exposure in a position that speaks to developing the way you think, the way you apply critical understanding. We have 29 languages, and I think over 40 cultures throughout the Child Center of New York. Currently, we are putting together our diversity and equity campaign. We had a way of supporting people, but it wasn't at the full throttle that we need now. So we've created cultural competency committees and work groups made up of our staff that want to focus on how do we educate each other about our diversity? What training do we need? How do we inform the strategic plan? So we have 9 work groups that are going to be following a model called collaborative inquiry. Look it up, it'll blow your mind. It's about how to work together in teams to get work done. We have board members that are going to be working in our work groups with our staff. Is that not the best opportunity for exposure? So now you're sitting there with a senior VP of a Swiss bank, and you and she are working together. And how do you formulate what the curriculum will look like for a diverse work setting that wants to understand more about where they stand on their racial identity and how that shows up in microaggressions, or how that shows up in what you write? Your very email may be slanted because you're used to speaking in a language and in a way that's comfortable for your identity, but you haven't thought about the reader. We are baking that into everything in the organization. And by the way, that was on the plan before we had our double pandemic, our virus and violence. We're at V2 right now, V squared. And so V squared has kind of driven the momentum of organizations to work in a particular way. And I am glad that it's driven this center to help you do the kind of research you need to do about cultures. You need to know where you're going. You need to know if it fits with who you are, because you work from the inside out. So if you're not clear about the culture at a particular organization and what really gets done in that culture, so you might want to do some information interviews, not just read the policies. Keep in mind the 1964 Civil Rights Act was on the book since the 1800s in some states, but it never got implemented. It got reversed, it got brought up, not until you had a movement in 64 that said enough is enough. You got to walk the talk. So know that when you're reading it, you want to talk to someone and say, are they walking the talk? That's what we're trying to create in the Child Center, by having the staff create the method and actually determine how and when we do it. They own and are accountable for keeping this alive with the organization's help. And oh, by the way, all the senior leaders that you'll see on the website, each one of them are going to be in one of those work groups. That's from the CEO's mouth. So we're really looking at people that understand not only the work you're going to have to do on the outside with our clients, but the work you're going to have to do on the inside in order to accommodate the needs and the diverse understanding of how each of our clients show up in their worlds, right? Because they've come from all over, and they've come from right here. So you've got someone from Staten Island who's always lived there, and they have an Italian ancestry, and now they moved to the Bronx, and now they need some help, and they've married somebody. So you get all these great configurations that only New York has. Work at the Child Center for New York, and you get to be a part of how the entire world is changing, and bring your brilliance and your natural curiosity to these opportunities. Now, if you don't have questions after everything I said right now, you've tuned out and you're still listening to Michael Jackson. Any questions? You can come off of mute and just talk to me. Amanda, are you there?
I'm interested in going to pediatrics. That's kind of the career path I wanted to. I was thinking, what opportunity at your center would be good for me to get into, just for some working with kids and getting that experience.
So when you say pediatrics, are you talking about pediatric medicine, or pediatric social work, or pediatric education, or pediatric what part of pediatrics?
I want to go into pediatric medicine, but I always loved kids and helping kids. So just to have a job where I could work with kids and be around them would be great.
Yep, so we're opening up a perinatal clinic in Flushing. So if you say pediatrics, so that's our little ones, right? And so that's going to be working with children that have special needs, and that they don't generally have a general daycare. They don't meet the standards for general daycare. So if you're really interested in impressing those reviewers of your application, you might want to consider what would it take to intern there. and that's in Flushing. So that clinic will be probably up and running in about 3 to 4 months. We also have daycare centers, right? So we have 2 of those, and that is really, I think, ground zero for people that are interested in going into pediatric medicine, because you're going to be not only looking at the development of a youngster right there, but you will be involved in understanding all of their clear. So we're not back inside yet. What we're doing is we're contacting the families 2 to 3 times a week, checking on their needs in terms of food. We're doing telemedicine and telehealth visits with the parents and with the children. We're watching how the children are interacting, and they're not all blossoming right now. Some of them are ecstatic because, oh, they got mom and dad, but they're not getting enough socialization unless they have a lot of siblings. And so that's creating a very interesting concern that those that are pediatric psychiatrists and social workers have, because we're not sure how this is going to show up developmentally, even for just 90 days. What's it going to take to undo that? Children are very resilient. If we get them out there socializing at point in their developmental maturation where it could actually have a negative impact. So you may want to do some research around that subject. What's the impact of isolation, social isolation on infants during this particular pandemic, and what's coming out of our various diverse communities, right? So those who have access may be having one experience, and those that don't may be having another. Presenting a white paper like that to any of our clinics and any of our developmental youth programs would be impressive. You see, most organizations are looking at how creative and courageous you are in designing your future, how hungry you are, how you can take what you've learned in school and apply it to creating a bridge that brings your unique contribution to the conversation. Just by you asking that, Grace, it shows that you're thinking about, what else do I need to do? So take the areas that interest you, put them up front on your resume, look at the Child Center. You'll see there are a couple of people. I think Linda Rodriguez would be someone to reach out to, and you can send it to me and I'll send it to her, and just says, I'm interested in volunteering so I can get a better sense of the landscape.
Thanks so much.
Hi. Hi, I'm Ruth. I just graduated from art therapy. I have a master's. So I see that you have an activity specialist, and now I know I can apply, and thank you for the information.
Absolutely. Apply for that. And then if there are other places where you may want to look at applying your skills as a program coordinator, it's more administrative. So if you want to stay in the art realm, that may be a place for you. But yeah, I would totally move that forward. You know, what do you see yourself doing, Ruth, with your master's in art?
So mental health therapy.
Nice.
I want to help people in all areas of mental health. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just art. Something like a social worker, helping people through their challenges.
Yeah, that would be great. Again, I would get in touch with the clinics too and look at what's possible, because often the clinicians are looking for running groups that can support some of the families and some of the children.
Yes, I have done that.
Yeah, so if you can do that with your education degree. Also, I would look at our early childhood, because that would be a real place. They're always looking for teachers. And so they may require you to get your teacher certification, but there are times when we can bring people on and you can be supervised under someone while you're getting your certification. So I wouldn't hold back, and I would offer that in the cover letter. I'd be happy to come on under someone else's supervision. I'm interested in pursuing this area to support or co-lead groups and support the development of whatever programs you may be thinking about. By putting that language in the letter, it helps people think about, oh, she could work in this capacity. Oh, I didn't think about her for this program. You know, and what that could look like. So absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, Sonia, we're approaching the end of time today, but I'm so grateful for you for sharing this information. And with this small, intimate group, it sounds like we have some really intentional job seekers, and I'm so thrilled that they were able to tune in and engage with you. So thank you so much for sharing your time.
Thank you for inviting me, and I hope to see your applications. And anything that you have as a question, you know how to reach me. Jenna can get in touch with me anytime. So
Yes,
take care.
and I encourage you all to continue to network and engage. Sonia talked about the value of informational interviews. And if you're thinking about doing the mental health therapy through art therapy, talking to someone who works in that area with the Child Center of New York, it's a great way to get a sense of what their job is like, the day-to-day, how it's been working remotely, and just to get a full picture of someone's experience. So
absolutely.
So let today inspire you. Continue to build your connections and engage. So thanks.
Absolutely. And check the Career Center, because we just brought in a new division, a residential treatment facility. And so I'm thinking, Ruth, about your art masters. We might actually have an opening. So check back within a week or two as we're doing the transition of those new employees and looking at the gaps. So we're always acquiring businesses and other companies. So take a peek. If you don't see it now, you might see it later.
All right. And if you have a friend or classmate that missed it, we'll have a recording of this Network with Pride that they can view at a later date. But thank you again, Sonia. Stay well and take care.
You too. Take care. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.